It wasn't even a tournament round, just a prom exhibition, but by the time Caitlin Clark's name hit the pairings sheet, the golf world was on high alert. Tickets vanished within hours, online buzz exploded, and marketing departments scrambled. By week's end, she'd inked over $15 million in deals, from luxury watches to high-end apparel, surpassing the lifetime earnings of many WNBA stars.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
The moment she stepped onto the course, the business of sports shifted. It wasn't hype, it was magnetism. Every swing, every smile, every viral clip became a headline, drawing eyes far beyond golf or basketball. What brands saw wasn't just a crossover athlete. They saw the future of sports marketing wrapped in charisma and competition. This wasn't just another viral story. It was a masterclass in value creation. Clark's appearance turned a mid-tier exhibition into a media juggernaut, with networks and sponsors fighting for a slice of her spotlight. Unlike other high-profile transitions, hers came with substance. A 13-under finish, a near eagle on hole 7, and visible respect from legends like Tiger Woods. The LPGA is already positioning her as a flagship figure, planning events around her potential return, while other leagues take notes or miss opportunities. Clark's meteoric rise is more than entertainment. It's a case study in how authenticity and excellence can redraw the map for women's sports, both on the scoreboard and in the boardroom. Tiger Woods in shock as Caitlin Clark breaks huge records and signs massive deals in the LPGA. You read that right. One of the greatest athletes in golf history was visibly stunned, not by a rival, not by another pro, but by Caitlin Clark, the basketball phenom who just took over a second sport like she was born for it. It all started at a prom event. Nothing high stakes on the surface. Just a fun round of golf with a few celebs, a few pros, and a lot of expectations for a good time. But when Caitlin stepped up for her first swing, everything changed. She hit the ball 270 yards straight down the fairway. That's not normal for a first-time appearance. That's elite. That's Pro Tour energy. Tiger Woods himself was floored. A man who spent decades analyzing swings, mechanics, and mindsets, he stopped what he was doing and took notice. He didn't sugarcoat it either. He said her swing was one of the cleanest and most confident he'd seen. Coming from Tiger, that's more than praise. That's validation. And that swing? It was just the beginning. She went on to shoot 13 under par. Not just a solid debut. A record-breaking performance that had analysts scrambling to understand what they were witnessing. Her risky shot on hole 7, landing just inches from the cup, became the stuff of highlight reels. It wasn't just impressive. It was strategic, fearless, and technically sound. She didn't get lucky. She got good. And as soon as her name hit the leaderboard, everything around her exploded. Ticket sales surged by 1,200%. Yes, you read that right. 1,200%. Her round wasn't just trending in golf circles. It was dominating Twitter. People who'd never watched a minute of golf were suddenly trying to find clips of that hole 7 shot. That's not just crossover appeal. That's sports domination. It didn't take long for brands to show up. Big ones. Luxury watch companies. Premium golf apparel lines. Beverage deals. Within days, Caitlin had locked in over $15 million in endorsements. More than many pro athletes make in years. More than most WNBA players will make in their entire careers. And here's the part that makes this even more unreal. She did all of it with the same unshakable confidence that made her a star on the basketball court. This wasn't a different version of Caitlin. This was the same athlete, just on a different field. No ego, no gimmicks, just pure skill and confidence backed by real results. Athletes like Serena Williams, LeBron James, and Patrick Mahomes didn't hold back. They flooded social media with praise. Not out of politeness, but out of recognition. They saw what everyone else saw. A generational talent stepping into a new arena and redefining what's possible. And as the golf world celebrated, the LPGA made the most of the moment. Embraced her, amplified her, rolled out the red carpet. Meanwhile, the WNBA? Dead silent. No posts. No statements. No mention. For a league that owes a massive chunk of its recent media momentum to Caitlin Clark, The silence was deafening. Fans noticed. Media noticed. The comparison became a controversy of its own. Because while one league saw her as a breakthrough opportunity, the other treated her like a threat to the balance. And that exposed a bigger issue. It wasn't just about sports. It was about recognition, about power, about what happens when an athlete becomes bigger than the system built around them. Caitlin's success in golf didn't overshadow her basketball career. It elevated it. It showed that the formula for promoting women's sports doesn't need to rely on drama or controversy. It can be driven by excellence, authenticity, and moments that feel real. What she did in that tournament didn't just shift golf, it shifted the narrative. It proved that women athletes don't need to stay in one lane to succeed, that you don't need to sacrifice one passion to pursue another. That natural talent, when combined with work ethic and confidence, is powerful enough to transcend boundaries. The entire sports industry is watching. From agents to marketing teams to league commissioners, everyone's now asking the same question. Is this the future? Athletes who dominate across multiple sports. Stars who aren't confined by the expectations of a single game. Caitlin's rise has opened the door for a new model of athlete. One that's built around versatility, not just specialization. It's not that she's ditching basketball. It's that she's expanding her influence, creating new opportunities not just for herself, but for every young athlete watching her, and proving in real time that greatness doesn't need permission to evolve. Her family said it best. Every time she picks up something new, she gives her heart, and that's what separates her from so many others. Her success isn't accidental. It's intentional. It's driven by a relentless work ethic that pushes her beyond limits most people are afraid to test. Now, the conversation has shifted. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark, the basketball star. It's about Caitlin Clark, the phenomenon. The force who could genuinely change how sports are structured, marketed, and consumed. Golf executives are already drawing up proposals, plans for exhibitions, events, marketing campaigns centered around her. They don't just want her to come back. They want her to lead. Her influence isn't temporary. It's structural, and it's shaping the business side of golf in ways that will last long after this tournament is over. The scary part for her competitors? She hasn't even fully committed to the sport. This is what she looks like on a casual appearance. No training camp, no tour schedule, just pure, natural honed ability. So what happens if she does decide to split her time between golf and basketball? What if she joins the LPGA full-time? What if she becomes a dual sport pro, setting records in both? Because let's be honest, at this point, it's not a matter of can she, it's a matter of will she, and whatever she chooses, the leagues, brands, and fans will follow. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just participating in the future of sports, she's leading it. So now the spotlight is brighter than ever. The expectations are sky high, and somehow, you get the sense she's just warming up. Let's talk. Did you see this coming? Do you think Caitlin Clark should lean into golf and pursue both sports full-time? Should the WNBA have celebrated her success like the LPGA did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like if you're in awe of this level of talent. Share this if you think athletes should be free to break the mold. And subscribe if you want more stories of stars rewriting the rules. Because Caitlin Clark isn't waiting for anyone, and the rest of the sports world better keep up. Caitlin Clark's prom debut didn't just turn heads. It flipped the sports world on its axis. What happened wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a lucky weekend. It was a performance so polished, so precise, so undeniably real, that even the most skeptical voices had to pause. There was no angle left to dismiss it. The distance was there. The accuracy was there. The confidence was effortless. The entire package, the athleticism, the marketability, the crossover potential, hit all at once. And if you think this is just a sports story, you're missing the point. This was a business earthquake. Caitlin didn't just show she can play. She showed she can sell. Her name alone drove up ticket demand by over 1,200%. That's not a marketing stunt. That's raw, measurable market impact. Golf tournaments that hadn't sold out in years, sold out in hours when her name appeared on the roster. That's influence. That's conversion. And sponsors noticed. Within days, she had brands lined up. Golf apparel, watches, beverages, multi-million-dollar offers, all from her first appearance. Total value, $15 million and counting. Those aren't just endorsement deals. Those are legacy-making contracts. That's what it looks like when an athlete walks into a new space and instantly becomes the main attraction. And yet, here's the wildest part. She wasn't even trying to steal the spotlight. Caitlin Clark didn't come to the LPGA to make headlines. She came to compete. She came to play a round of golf, same way she does everything. All in, locked in, calm but surgical. She didn't swing for clout. She swung because it's what she does. Show up, show out, leave nothing on the table. And still, her presence changed everything. Let's not pretend this kind of breakout happens often. Multi-sport crossovers have existed before, but they rarely hit like this. The combination of raw skill, composure, charisma, and mainstream appeal, that's rare, extremely rare. And when it comes along, it shifts industries. Because this isn't just about Caitlin Clark anymore. It's about what she's exposed. She's exposed how outdated the sports industry's idea of athlete branding really is. For decades, athletes have been boxed into single sport identities. Basketball players stay in basketball. Golfers stay in golf. Crossovers were seen as distractions, risky, unnecessary, potentially damaging to the brand. But Caitlin just blew that model to pieces. And now, every young athlete paying attention is asking, why not both? Why should they limit themselves to one identity when their talent, their discipline, and their drive can open doors across multiple arenas? Caitlin Clark just proved that those boundaries weren't physical. They were cultural. They were constructed. And she just knocked them down in broad daylight, in front of a stunned audience that included Tiger Woods himself. That's the moment we're living in. One where the old rules can't hold anymore. One where being great in one sport doesn't mean staying there forever. One where being versatile isn't just admirable, it's profitable. The silence from the WNBA wasn't just disappointing. It was strategic, and not in a good way. It was the kind of strategic silence that comes from discomfort. Discomfort with how fast someone's rising. Discomfort with how much control she now has over her image, her career, her future. Because the truth is, Caitlin Clark has more leverage now than maybe any woman athlete in recent memory. She's not just a draw, she's a force. She doesn't need a platform. She is the platform. And when you're that powerful, institutions don't always know how to respond. The LPGA embraced her. They saw the value. They leaned in. They treated her like a star because she acted like one and performed like one. The WNBA hesitated. And in doing so, they handed over the momentum. And let's be clear, this isn't a knock on women's basketball. Caitlin has been and still is one of its brightest lights. Her college career changed the trajectory of the sport. She filled arenas. She lifted ratings. She brought fans back. But if the league that benefited from all of that won't step up and support her growth across all her talents, then fans will look elsewhere. Brand will look elsewhere. She will look elsewhere. And that's a warning sign leagues can't afford to ignore. Because Caitlin Clark is the future. Not just of basketball, not just of golf, but of sports culture itself. A future where athletes own their stories. A future where versatility is rewarded. A future where leagues no longer define athletes. Athletes define the league. Her record-breaking round, 13 under, a new prom best, wasn't just a stat. It was a signal that the expectations placed on athletes are too small. That we've been measuring talent with the wrong scale. That when you give someone the freedom to excel across disciplines, they just might blow up both. And fans are here for it. The internet didn't hesitate. Clips of her swing, her shot on hole 7, her post-round interviews, they flooded timelines. Comments were filled with the same question. How is this even real? Because Caitlin didn't look out of place. She looked in control. The green, the fairways, the pressure. It didn't faze her. She played with the same intensity, the same focus that made her a nightmare for college defenders and a top WNBA pick. She just transferred it, effortlessly. And now, sports media can't keep up. They're no longer just covering a basketball star. They're tracking a potential dual sport icon. someone who might have the ability and the right to change how athletes navigate their careers. And this isn't a fluke wave. This is the beginning of a movement. Athletes coming up now are watching this and realizing they don't have to follow the old script, that you can be more than one thing, that you don't need to wait for permission to chase a new lane. You just need the work ethic, the talent, and the audacity to go for it. Caitlin Clark had all three. That's why this moment matters. Not just because of the numbers, the headlines, or even the endorsements, but because of what it represents. A new model, a new era, and a new standard for what excellence looks like. So let's bring it back to the question everyone's asking. Will she keep playing golf? No official word yet. But if the reactions are any indication, Tiger's praise, the brand's knocking down her door, the LPGA's enthusiasm, it's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. And how often. Because right now, Caitlin Clark doesn't just have options. She has control. And in a sports world that still fights to give athletes that kind of agency, her rise is a blueprint others will follow. She didn't ask to be a role model, but she became one. She didn't plan to shake the table, but moved anyway. So whether you're a fan of golf, basketball, or just raw greatness, this is your moment to witness something rare. The emergence of a true cross-sport star. An athlete who can do both, and do both well. There's no slowing down now. The Caitlin Clark effect is already in motion, and everyone, from league execs to rival athletes to corporate sponsors, is racing to figure out where it goes next. She didn't ask to be a disruptor. She just showed up, played her game, and let her talent do the talking. And now, everyone else is playing catch-up. Let's talk about how rare this is. When an athlete makes the leap from one professional sport to another, the stakes are incredibly high. It's not just about skill. It's about perception. If you fall short, even once, the critics come flying in with stay-in-your-lane energy. The ridicule, the doubt, the constant pressure to prove you belong. It's brutal. But Caitlin Clark didn't stumble. She dominated. Not just with one lucky shot or a fluke performance, but over the course of a full prom round that had cameras rolling, professionals watching, and expectations sky high. 13 under par. Clean mechanics, mental toughness, and a presence that matched the moment without feeling rehearsed. That doesn't just happen. That's earned. And now, she's not just being discussed as a rising star. She's being talked about in the same breath as Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders. Athletes who broke molds, shattered ceilings, and redefined what it means to be elite in multiple disciplines. What sets Caitlin apart is how fast it's all happening. From her NCAA dominance to the WNBA spotlight to a headline-making golf debut. She's creating moments at a pace no league, no media outlet, and honestly, no sports ecosystem was prepared for. And while it's thrilling for fans, it's rattling the status quo. Because if you're a league executive, you're being forced to reckon with a player who doesn't need your platform in the traditional sense. Caitlin Clark is the rare case of an athlete who is the product, the marketing, the brand, and the demand, all rolled into one. And that's powerful. The LPGA saw that immediately. They leaned in. They made space. They celebrated her swing, her presence, her impact, because they understood what they were looking at. Not a gimmick, not a publicity stunt, but a genuine opportunity to evolve the sport in real time. The WNBA's hesitation, that said everything, and it opened the door to a long overdue conversation. How do sports leagues treat their stars when those stars start to outgrow the boundaries set around them? The contrast couldn't be clearer. One league saw possibility, the other saw disruption. And while fans were showing up in droves to watch Caitlin thrive, the league she helped propel into the mainstream seemed stuck, caught between wanting to control the narrative and refusing to acknowledge the new one playing out in front of them. This isn't just about celebrating athletic achievement. It's about recognizing value. Caitlin's golf debut brought in new fans, new sponsors, and new revenue to women's sports as a whole. She bridged audiences that normally don't even overlap. She made golf cool to a younger demographic while reminding basketball fans why they fell in love with her game in the first place. That's not hype. That's data. And yet, when fans looked to the WNBA for a moment of shared celebration, they got silence. And it hit different. Because it wasn't just a missed tweet or a skip post, it was a missed opportunity to show the world that women's sports are finally ready to celebrate multidimensional excellence, to show that growth, even outside the hardwood, still deserves flowers. Instead, the noise came from fans, from athletes, from culture shapers and sponsors who got it. Because when Serena Williams is praising your form, and Patrick Mahomes is tweeting about your poise, and Tiger Woods is calling your swing one of the best he's ever seen, you're not just trending. You're changing the conversation. This kind of organic hype doesn't come around often. Caitlyn didn't buy it. She didn't manufacture it. She earned it with the kind of performance that demands you look up from your phone and pay attention. And it's forcing everyone to rethink what athlete branding should look like. For years, sports marketing leaned on the idea that fans could only understand one identity at a time. If you were a basketball player, that's all you were allowed to be. If you crossed over, it had to be carefully packaged, controlled, limited, safe. But Clark just tore that formula to pieces. She's a multi-sport athlete without changing who she is. She's not Caitlyn the golfer one day and Caitlyn the hooper the next. She's just Caitlyn. And that authenticity, that's the glue holding this entire cultural moment together. Brands see it, fans feel it, and the sports world is scrambling to keep up. Now the LPGA is planning ahead. Exhibition matches, clinics, special events, entire broadcasts being rewritten around her potential future appearances. They don't just want her back, they're building around her. They're asking the question out loud, what if she becomes one of us? Because the fact is, she could. She's proven that her game can scale, that her mindset is locked in, that her composure under pressure isn't tied to one court or one league. And that means if she ever decided to fully pursue professional golf, she could actually do it. Not as a novelty, as a contender. And that possibility, it's terrifying and thrilling all at once. Because for athletes, it sets a new standard. For leagues, it sets a new bar. For fans, it opens a new chapter. A chapter where we stop asking, what sport do you play? And start asking, how far can your talent take you? So here's where we are. Caitlyn Clark walked into a prom event and walked out with records, endorsements, and a seat at golf's most elite table. She walked in with a basketball in her legacy and left with a golf empire in her future. She didn't change who she is. She just revealed more of it. And now, the sports world has a choice. Embrace this shift, or get left behind. Because Caitlyn Clark isn't waiting for permission. She's too busy swinging forward. Now I want to hear what you think. Could she go pro in golf full-time? Should she balance both? And what should leagues take away from how this moment was handled? Drop your comments. Like if you believe athletes deserve to grow in every direction. Share this with someone still doubting the power of versatility. And subscribe, because this isn't just a crossover moment. It's a movement. And Caitlyn Clark is leading it. One shot, one swing, one game at a time.